We are live for a Thursday edition of the Hangout. It's been too long, and so we better safe than sorry and get it done to this week rather than hold off another week. So excited to connect with you fellas. What's up with you guys, man? How's everything going in your world?
Fantastic.
It's great,
That's good,
great,
man. That's
great,
good.
great.
So we had a interesting week, interesting past couple of weeks. Lots of things to touch on. We got a couple of subjects here, so as always, want to definitely make sure you include the viewers who are checking in. So feel free to throw out any subjects or topics that's on your radar. And as we move along, we'll try to get into some of the topics as well. But I guess let's start off with the okay. We got let me see what I want to start at. We got the World Economic Forum situation. We got the Trump situation. We got whatever, and so we can just bring that stuff up here, man, and go from there. So here's the first little article here. So we got the World Economic Forum's meeting at the end of this month. And so, Tom, you brought this to our attention. Give us the rundown on this. We can share our 2 cents on it.
Yeah, basically. So like I was saying in our Twitter DM, it seems if you scroll down some, it gives you the people who are there and it gives you like the basic gist of it. It's a lot of African leaders. Yeah, you see African leaders, and it's in China.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it kind of flies in the face of this whole, okay, it seems to me that the WEF is very much joining the same narrative that BRICS is, or at least people who the narrative that people ascribe to BRICS. Like BRICS is like this anti-globalist force, and it's gonna bring equality amongst currencies and nations, and this and that. They're talking about that kind of stuff here, trading in local currencies. At the same time, also, I forgot to put the article in. The St. Petersburg Economic Forum is going on right now in Moscow, I guess, or St. Petersburg, Russia, and they're talking about the same exact things. And why I thought this was interesting is because if you guys remember, back right before the conflict kicked off in Ukraine in February of last year, or right before and right after, the WEF, Santa Claus, Bill Gates, who I think Kissinger, all those clowns, they went out of their way to condemn Xi, Putin, of course, Orange Man, Trump. They were persona non grata. And then you got this narrative coming out, especially amongst like the geopolitical people online, like, oh, Putin's a globalist stomping hero and Xi's a nationalist and he's looking out for his people. And then now the WEF is doing like summer Davos or whatever the hell they're calling it in China. That doesn't happen. Like you don't just get to, as this big organization, call Xi a monster and then walk back into China and set up shop. So it seems to me very fishy, very weird. And if you guys remember, I think we even talked about this at the beginning of the conflict, right when we first started the show. We were talking about alien psyops, and we were talking about how this Ukraine thing could be the perfect excuse and the perfect way to bring in CBDCs, bring in global control, bring in a one world system. But then I kind of went out of my head because of the fact that they said Xi's a monster, Putin's a monster, but now they're back in Beijing. So it seems to me like this could have been a huge head fake the whole time.
Yeah. So just pulling up those two pages there, the fact that they're meeting, bringing everybody into the country, talking about the economy, talking about the world shift and everything like that, it doesn't surprise me one bit that China, Russia, the World Economic Forum, they're still moving in the same direction as far as how they're trying to structure their political systems and monetary systems and things like that. And so like I mentioned before, like the fact that all the stuff they throw our way would have us to believe that it's East versus West, but in actuality, they all probably working together behind the scenes to accomplish their ultimate goal, which is to set up that one world government type of system. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit, but interesting to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is absolute proof that, because I'm sure you guys both know this. I didn't mean to step on you, Andre, but I'm sure you guys have both seen like Putin on the Young Global Leaders for the WEF, along with like Tulsi Gabbard. And there's always that excuse, well, like, oh, well, just because they put them on, like they didn't choose to be put on. Well, it's seeming more and more like this whole Young Global Leader thing, the people who are on that list have a lot more involvement with the WEF than they're letting on.
Right. You got to meet some type of criteria, I'm sure, to be on that list. Something that shows promise to what they're trying to accomplish. So if you're in alignment with what they want to accomplish, then you'll make that list.
Yeah, I'm not surprised I didn't. invite.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So just saying, I'm not surprised I didn't get the invite.
To the list.
Yeah.
I was about to ask this, Dre. You on that list? Oh man. So here's the question: like, if you guys got an invite to attend one of them Davos meetings, and you're like, going to be a special attendee, get all that backdoor access passes and stuff like that, would you guys go?
I would.
Would
I
you go
would
on
definitely go
to like
and
break
hope.
a news story, or are you going to go just to mingle and just to listen and learn rather than just try to catch somebody slipping and try to report something live and low-key disappear and don't come back?
Right. Yeah, I would definitely go and check things out and hope to make it home. But that's where everything's happening right now. So why not? I would definitely go.
Yeah. I'm sure there's two type of meetings. You got the one that the public is allowed to attend with the cameras and stuff like that. Then you got the closed door meetings behind up in the mountain somewhere where only the special people get invited for all those type of weird parties and all types of sacrificial things they be doing. So yeah, the crazy stuff on the back end.
Yeah, I was just about to say this: the after party with the dark robes and the goats and the bloodletting and all that other crazy crap.
Yeah,
I would go. I mean, like, hey man, I'm not going to sell my soul or anything in some weird like devil ritual, but I would definitely go. And hey man, maybe someone will pay us $2 billion to do the hangout. I'm cool with that.
Right. Hey,
Can't say I'll put my foot out and trip claws. You trip claws, you ain't coming home.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is funny, man. So I guess, long story short, something to take away from just the meetings taking place is the fact that everything is strategically planned. Like these people, this is just not some type of circus, some type of mishaps is happening right now with all this stuff going on. These cats are literally trying to orchestrate a plan, and the fact they're meeting, discussing these things, and they're inviting each other, except that some of the G7 nations. So we'll see how it all plays out, man. But definitely entertaining to say the least. What else you got?
Curious to see if any of the CCP themselves make any statements. That should be something to watch for. I think it's coming up in a couple days now. It's like the 16th and 17th. I'd be curious if any cabinet members of the CCP make any kind of appearance.
Yeah, here's a so I guess let's jump on that Trump situation, because I've been completely unplugged from political news. So other than just hearing about things, I haven't dived deep. But this article you sent talks about the secret DC Uniparty summit to stop Donald Trump. And so no doubt there's a conspiracy going on, but you mentioned something about trying to get him to bow out of for presidential election for next term or something like that, or what?
Yeah, like I don't know. I know Andre's been unplugged. You've been unplugged. You just said, but I don't know if you guys have saw this. But Rachel Maddow like said the quiet part out loud. She's like, "Well, could it be possible that the Justice Department just offers him no charges in return for him dropping out of the race?" And whatever guy she was on with was like, "Whoa, we can't say that out loud." So that's definitely the game plan. Like that's what they want. And like we were talking in the DM, I think that's one of the big reasons they're not doing mugshots on these things is because that would be forever. You like in 50 years from now, when they're writing history books, Donald Trump would be looked back on as some sort of criminal or wrongdoer, just like people like exaggerate the what Nixon really did. You know what I mean? Like it would be a stain. As long as they don't have that mugshot, there's still room for them to think that they can negotiate Trump out of the race, because that's all that matters to them. They don't. I would think they would prefer not to lock him up. It's just like either drop out or go to jail.
So when he go ahead.
I was talking to a friend of mine actually yesterday about Trump and his prosecution, the parade of prosecutions that going on with him. And he was like, you know what? Kennedy caused problems, and all of a sudden, Kennedy wasn't around no more. And I was like, well, I don't think you want to do that with him, because you turn him into a martyr and you would instantly lose everyone who voted for Trump. And then you would turn half of the people who slept their way to voting in for the Democrats against you too. So I don't think that's an option. So their main option, or at least a path they're taking, is to try and discredit him. They tried that during this presidency. That didn't really work. So now they're trying to discredit him and put him in jail, basically to keep him from running. And that's, I don't think it's a secret. It's only a secret if you're not paying attention, right? Because everything he's being charged with is like dumb compared to what Joe Biden is doing and has done, and all this evidence against him, and nobody's paying attention to that. But you know, Trump leaves a sheet of paper somewhere. Oh, that's littering. That's a Class D felony. Let's throw him in jail, lock him up.
Classified
It's
littering.
like, it's so obvious if you're paying attention. But here's the thing: he's really going to make both parties look bad, because the other guy who's running as a Republican is Vivek Ramaswamy, I believe his name is, the Indian guy. He was like, if I'm elected president, I'm pardoning Trump day one. And if you're running as a Republican, I ask you to do the same. And if you won't, please explain why you won't. So he put the whole Republican Party on blast, because it's totally obvious this is a political assassination by your opponent. So if you are Nikki Haley, if you are Tim Scott, who I really like, because he just makes sense when he talks, DeSantis, if you can't come out and say, look, this is obviously political, and if a Democrat, a blue, if you go to court, if Trump is tried in New York City in an all blue, with all blue jury, he's likely to get convicted. So it's not a fair trial. But the remedy to that is presidential pardons. And if you become elected as a Republican, knowing that one of your Republicans was basically politically assassinated, what's your remedy? And if you can come out and say, I'll pardon Trump, is the way I would vote for that person.
So it looks like Mike Pence is not necessarily saying that he would. So it says, pretty disrespectful right radio host scolds Pence for not saying he pardoned Trump. So the fact that Pence is in the race is like, dude, like you went out like a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you think people going to actually jump on your bandwagon. Come on now. Like to me, like how his whole relationship with Trump ended on that January 6th stand where Trump was swearing up and down that he was going to, actually do something for him. Complete opposite, man. So I wouldn't mess with this guy one bit. Something about him just smells fishy to me, but and I'm not too surprised to say the least. So what do you guys think about this?
It's Mike Pence is, oh my God. I have words for him that I just deeply dislike that man for just a multitude of reasons. But all of these freaking, these other also ran type people that are in the race, I did a video on this. They all have a purpose, each and every one of them. Like you got Larry Elder, right? Black vote. Okay. And California's a big state. He's got a good name recognition there. He can peel a lot of support away from Trump. Tim Scott. Okay. South Carolina is an important state. It's an early primary state. Again, black vote. South Carolina, the black vote's very important. Peel a lot of support away from Trump there. Nikki Haley, again, South Carolina, the woman vote. Mike Pence, even though he's a scumbag, he does kind of get that evangelical vote. Ron DeSantis is like the Dave Rubin types, and these people who are like, I was a liberal and then I voted for Trump, but now I hate Trump and I'm a DeSantis, but I'm actually still some sort of leftist communist. And all of these characters in the race outside of Vivek, I think is a genuine candidate. I really like him. Oh, and Chris Christie, he's there just to say the most absurd, bombastic stuff and insult Trump in ways that the other candidates don't want to and won't have to. With Chris Christie there, like they all have a part to play, and it's just super obvious. Charlie Kirk, he put out a tweet when this whole DC indictment happened, and I think it was the best take on this. Who wants to be the guy in the Republican primary who only wins the primary and possibly the presidency because the only guy who could have beat you got put in jail? All of these Republicans right now, okay, if they truly care about this country and not just their own political agenda, they should all drop out and endorse Trump. All of them. Because it's not a fair race anymore. It's not fair anymore. It's just not.
Watch this. So here's a comment here. It says, we need Donald Trump. And so how true is this in your opinion, or false? Like, is it Trump or nothing else, or or what?
Unfortunately, there's that statement is like 90% true.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is what Trump stands for. We don't necessarily need the man Trump, because I think Vivek is standing for the exact same thing. And his path to the presidency will be similar to Trump in that he shouldn't be beholden to donors. All these other candidates, even Tim Scott, Larry Elder, Nikki Haley, they're not self-funded.
Amen.
And I really like Larry Elder, and trust me, Tom, ain't no black people in Oakland voting for him. So like he's the black face of white supremacy.
Oh yeah,
so,
I remember that.
He's going to get all the white votes. He'll pull some liberal white women who recently got mugged, right, out of that voting block. But yeah, he's not pulling away people from the Democrats. I mean, from Trump. Mm-hmm. If you are a black person in urban America, it's my opinion, you would vote. The reason you would not vote Democrat, you see the light, and therefore the light shows you to vote for Trump. Not because it's because of what he stands for. Not because, well, he's not black, but you would, because of what he stands for is colorblind. It doesn't matter what color you are. And Trump will have a better chance of getting these policies through than Larry Elder would. Now, Larry Elder as a VP, that's all day for me. That's all day. He would literally destroy the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party would have no defense for him. All these stupid organizations that are ripping off Black America, he'll go in there and just dismantle all of them. So Trump, Larry Elder ticket would be hilarious, but and I don't think it'll ever happen. But yeah, I would be down with that.
Here's another little headline, because as I mentioned, I haven't been following much, but Vivek, I'm not sure anything about him, but it says Vivek Ramaswamy says he wouldn't seek to charge Biden if elected president. So is this him just saying something nice, politically correct, not to ruffle any feathers that would put a hit out on his back too soon, to where, or he's legitimate to where, like, if he was to become president, he'll be then allowed into the Boys and Girls Club, to where he would have to then go back on some of the things he promises and actually toe the lines, similar to how Trump was saying, Hillary Clinton, she deserves to go to jail, and all of a sudden, oh, Hillary, she's such a respectable young, all that crap. So is this just political theater at the end of the day, in your opinion?
See, I agree with Andre on Vivek. He does not need this. This is, if anything, an inconvenience to him. The guy's got money the same way Trump does. All of these other people, they're beholden to donors, and this is a step up in life. Vivek and Trump don't need that. And then as far as the policies of Trump, if you notice, outside of like the neocons like Nikki Haley, all of these people are running on Trump's policies. Every single Republican candidate has the same exact platform with very little difference.
Now, real quick, sorry to cut you off. What are some of the key staple point policies that they're talking about? Because I know Trump, Make America Great Again, and deep state talk, but what actually are they running on that can actually get done in a short amount of time?
Well, the main thing with Trump is he had this executive order in place right before the January 6th thing happened called Schedule F. It's an executive order that gives him unilateral power to fire anybody he wants in the executive branch in the federal government. And that's one of his big campaign things. And I think that's probably the most important thing. Like, if it has not become abundantly clear to everybody in this country at this point, our federal government has run amok. And until we get ourselves secure and taken care of, everything else is secondary or tertiary. But also, Trump does have a good track record. Like, all the things he promised in his first campaign, he did to the best of his ability, with a Republican House and Senate, with like putting a ball and chain around his ankle the entire time. He's still got a lot of that border wall built. It's all paid for. Biden shut it down, even though it's all paid for, and most of the parts are laying out in the desert. You know what I mean? Like, he did start to bring back jobs from China and overseas. I remember very clearly Ford and this company, we're going to build a plant. And then as soon as Biden gets in, those plants all got canceled, all of them. Taxes went down. I can say this as a business owner at the time and as a W-2 worker at the time. My taxes went down dramatically under Donald Trump. All of these things are proven. He's running on a lot of the same things again, but this time he's been aggrieved. He has a vendetta, and that's at this point what we need. Because this whole bipartisanship, this whole idea that people need to come to Washington and get things done. No. That's exactly how we get screwed every time. Every time something is bipartisan, it is at the expense of the people. So I think that the easiest way to sum this up is the 2016 campaign for Trump. It's the same platform. It's the same exact platform, but with the knowledge and ability to say, okay, I'm not getting screwed around again. I know who screwed me last time. And before Andre steps in, I just want to make one thing that people often make criticism, or two things people often criticize Trump for. One, not firing Fauci. You have to remember, we're in the middle of what everybody thought was this deadly, everybody's going to die thing. So why are you going to fire the only guy who you think knows anything? So you're just going to leave yourself completely in the wind without any sort of advice, be it bad advice. But everybody, including DeSantis, praised Fauci. Looking back, it's easy to say that was a bad idea. Secondly, everybody gives Donald Trump a hard time for not draining the swamp. I argue he did drain the swamp. He just didn't get all the alligators and the snakes out. But now, just like Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, you can see who's swimming naked. The swamp has gone out, and we know who these people are now. We did not know who they were before, but now we do.
I totally agree with that.
Go ahead. I was going to say, so swamp-wise, is it just the Democratic, the radical left? I mean, is when water was drained, did it expose a lot of the radical left because they literally pushed back on everything he did and tried to undo everything? So that exposing some of those swamp creatures, or what? Because it goes a lot deeper than that. But is that some of the people you're referring to as far as who got exposed?
Well, I'll piggyback off that.
Yeah.
It's both parties, but the main opposition, obviously, were the Democrats. They were just playing their part. But the Republicans are in that swamp as well. And it's not just the politicians. It's the state, the administrative state that's there. Mm-hmm. People have been in positions of power for 30, 40 years. And they're like Trump. The reason why Trump is going through what he's going through, it could be Trump. You can swap Trump with Larry Elder. If they have the same agenda, they're going to dig up whatever they can to get rid of that person, because that person is for the American people and the republic. So Trump's idea of America is a constitutional republic. The Democrats and a lot of Republicans and the state see it as a multicultural democracy, right? So it's just two totally different visions. And one of those visions aligns with globalism. And that's the multicultural democracy thing. And if Trump gets in there, like he did when he first got in there, he starts dismantling or taking us out of all these global connections, like the Paris Accord, where he got us out of that. And out of all the signatories to that agreement, we were the ones who met our goals to decrease greenhouse gases or whatever. Everybody else didn't. So there's all these entanglements that the global elites need America to be involved in. Without America, their plan doesn't work. So Trump is the only person, maybe Vivek, at the moment, is a person who can at least articulate this problem. And I know Trump can get the problem solved because he was doing it before. Now, Vivek, he's new to politics. I don't know if he can get it done. But with Trump, Schedule F, get rid of everybody, take us out of all these stupid agreements, energy independence. Hey, I'm out in California, man. Gas is still $5 and something cents. When Trump was in office, it got down here like to $3 or something. Everywhere else, it was like $1. It went down to what, 180 or something like that. Our schools are in shambles. San Francisco is, excuse my language, a shithole. Like it's embarrassing. We're gonna talk about this later because I was gone for 2 weeks in Europe, and people are like literally talking shit about America. This is like they weren't like to the point where we had to throw blows or nothing like that. But I was really surprised. Like we've taken a step back in the eyes of the world, man, and it wasn't like that a couple of years ago. So yeah.
Now, so as you guys are talking, more thoughts are coming to mind. So far, we're not on script with none of the articles, just because new things come to mind. Because you're talking about over in Europe and how people look at us in a different light. Whereas in 10, 15, 20 years ago, I remember when I lived overseas a lot, they wanted to be like us. Now, how do you think? How do you think they're feeling about us now? When like this is what the supposed White House is looking like during that whole Pride situation. Does this make you proud to be an American?
Hey man, it's gotten so crazy. So I flew out. My last stop was in Rome, and I'm going to try and see the Colosseum. And I got stuck. They literally, like, to get to the Coliseum, they were funneling you. Well, there's a lot of people like seem to be funneling down this one street. So me and my girl, we just walking down the street together, and I'm like, all right, well, it's a lot of music and stuff going on here. There's some people on the loudspeaker talking. I'm like, it's a special event, but hey, Coliseum, I can see it. I'm just gonna keep going. And the closer I get to the Coliseum, the denser the crowd got, the less clothes people were wearing. Men start holding hands, women holding hands. I'm like, wait, what? I'm marching in a pride parade. Now, I was literally marching in a pride parade in Rome. And I was like, hey, I grabbed my girl, you stand right next to me because if just my luck, CNN is in the corner somewhere. You go off somewhere, and everybody see me marching in a pride parade in Rome by myself. But the thing was, what I got out of that was the media lie, right? For the left. It's packed, man. I mean, it was packed. Nobody was giving them problems. Nobody was jeering them or, cussing them out. You ain't seen no signs with homophobic slurs, nothing. One thing I didn't see was like little children either. So the image that, everybody's against homosexuality that you see in the media again is just not true. I think most people, I don't know how we got on this subject, sorry, but most people
just talking about Europe, talking about how Europe used to want to be like us. Now they turn their head down towards us.
Yeah, and I just went off on the tangent to the left. But
it's all good.
To be more on point, another story about me. Sorry to make this all about me, y'all. But when I was in Europe, I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not small by no means. I'm not small, but I'm not obese. I'm not nowhere near being so fat I'm gonna be on some TV show about my 600-pound life. But I'm not skinny. Not fat either. I mean, I'm all right.
You eat good. I feel like that.
I eat good. I don't want to misrepresent myself and have people looking for a 500-pound dude. No. But when I was in Europe, dude, I was the biggest person everywhere I went. Like, for the most part. And I'm saying I'm not fat. I'm like 5'9", 240. So, and I got muscle behind me, right? So I'm definitely not skinny, but I'm nowhere. No one pays attention to me in America. There's nowhere I can go in America where people are like, damn, look at him. But everywhere I went, I was like the biggest person there, man. I was like, what the hell are we eating in America where everybody looks like everybody in America looked like in the 70s and 80s, slim, trim. And you could spot the Americans in the crowd because they were all either fat and obese, like very fat, like taking up 2 seats in the airplane type fat, waddling around in sandals and socks. Like you could spot the Americans, or if they were in shape, they just left the gym. You could tell, like women with biceps as big as mine, 6 packs. Like it was either or. Either you just left the gym or you just left Golden Corral's buffet. And you could point out to Americans. That made me like, what is going on, man? So actually, when I was in Italy, in Tuscany at this winery thing, the dude was like repulsed at American food. He was repulsed. He was like, Italy won't allow us to eat your food. It's like, what does that mean? Like, won't allow us to. Like, what is that? What are you saying, dude? Yeah. Like pork, a lot of the bread, some dairy, packaged meat, sliced meat, cereals like Fruit Loop, Gatorade's illegal. It was
Gatorade's illegal.
That bothered me. So I came back home and started to research this stuff, and I was like, man, this is illegal. Skittles is literally illegal, but in America they're advertising it to your kids. Yeah. And I thought the glyphosate thing was bad. Whereas that's illegal too. Like that's totally illegal, totally banned over there. And you can see the results, man. Everybody just looks healthy.
See, but I get what you're saying. I definitely do, and I agree. They have probably have better quality food, but at the same time, it's a hard circle to square because it's like, how much do you want people getting involved with like what you like Skittles being illegal? But at the same time, it's not like we don't have regulations and crap over here. They're just apparently not very good ones. So I guess it's just it's like how much do you want the government to be involved?
Skittles are illegal because they're detrimental to your health, not because they're sweet. The pork is illegal because it's detrimental to your health.
Yeah, I guess that's true too.
Saying. Like when I lived in Japan, one realization I came away with. Okay, Japan, they won't allow you to eat bad food. Like it's very, very hard to find a restaurant that serves like, ooh, this was nasty, right? But in America, you can find some bad food, right? I'm not talking about unhealthy food. I'm saying bad food. And I'm being kind of hyperbolic by saying every restaurant in Japan serves great food, and that's close to the truth. But in America, you can find some crappy restaurants that sells, just some crap for cheap. But I never thought that America will allow dangerous food to be in its food supply. And that's what's happening. It's dangerous. That's why these countries will not allow their citizens access to it. But in America, they're advertising for us to buy this stuff. And after that advertisement, you get a pharmaceutical company to advertise the remedy to the problem that food that you just consumed, like Gatorade, Fruit Loops, is causing. That's horrible. And things like that are more likely to be addressed by Trump than any Democrat.
Right. And this is a topic that wouldn't even be touched on by anybody other than someone like Trump, who actually appears or shows that he cares about what happens in this country. And speaking of which, there's more about U.S. corn, GMO. And so Russia they don't allow no GMO type products, at least what we're told. But then again, apparently Mexico is pushing back on having the U.S., grow GMO corn within the country. So we'll see how this plays out. But once again, the U.S. and Bill Gates and his people and all the institutions he's funding, they're trying to push this GMO stuff down our throat solely. And of course, it has a lot to do with the participation in that stuff and what it does to your genetic system and DNA and all that stuff like that, man. They're literally trying to kill us in multiple ways. So they're not going to stop.
The GMO thing.
We might be able to swing this into that Tim Pool topic. The GMO, like people being against GMO, genetically modified organisms or whatever, that in itself is not necessarily unhealthy. Like, because every corn, like all bananas, like bananas didn't used to look like that. Corn didn't used to look like that. So they've all been genetically modified either naturally or through mankind. The problem with corn, like where all these countries will not accept corn from the United States, it's not because it's genetically modified. It's because of the pesticides that must be used on the corn because it's genetically modified.
Well,
So
that's what I
they'll
was
put
about
out
to
an
say.
article that says, "Oh, they're against genetic GMOs," but that's a half truth. The GMO by itself isn't necessarily bad. It's the fact that you must use a certain pesticide that's detrimental to your health in order to grow that corn.
Grow that stuff. Yeah.
And that's what I was about to say, actually. Like the GMO thing, like in and of itself, is also more complicated. Me being from New Jersey and Rutgers has a food lab. I think they were one of the first or the first in the country to start doing this GMO stuff. And one of the crazy parts of this is if you buy a GMO seed from Monsanto and it cross pollinates with the farmer next door with their corn, and then the next year they take those seeds and plant them, Monsanto's going to come in and take the farm. They're going to sue them for not paying for the corn that Monsanto owns the copyright to. And that's a big problem too. And it's one of those things you can't control. You can't control what bees do. You can't control what the wind does. So when and add on top of that the must-have fertilizers, the must-have pesticides, and you get into this whole like proprietary food thing that is almost like with these huge corporations that are almost above nations. You get that into an area like France, and it starts going everywhere. And Monsanto is going to come in and take every farm in the country for violating their intellectual property rights or whatever.
Would it be good is if we got a real president into office, if it was possible, just put if it was possible, to go and undo and look at some of these companies and their monopoly on everything, food, water, energy. I mean, like just the fact that all power has been concentrated to the hands of a few is something that should be dealt with. But of course, it's impossible in this life, in my opinion, just because you wouldn't make this see the light of day if you had a thought in your mind and then nevertheless express it out on a mic somewhere saying that you're going to investigate, or you're going to ban Monsanto in the USA, or come on now, like it's just I wish we could do a lot. I wish that it was possible to do a lot more than what we all would probably actually get from any of these candidates. But I'll take anything bit by bit, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, what else you got? We're gonna talk about some other subjects as well. We gonna get to the geopolitical stuff or what? Which I want to touch on.
Either one.
That Tim Pool.
I wasn't able to download that video. It's hard to download Instagram, huh?
Yeah, it is the perfect man. It's the perfect clip of what's wrong with the media. I can summarize it. Basically, you had a news article that said something. It was about Target store. It was saying that right wing. Forgive me if I get this wrong, but it was saying right wing people were threatening Target.
With the bomb threat, they threatened with the bomb threat over the fact that they removed the clothing or something like that, and that wasn't the case.
And that was the headline, right?
Yeah.
So if you read the headline, that's what you go away with. But buried in the actual article, not the headline, but the article, about 75% down, is the truth. That it was actually the left wing, like Antifa types, who were doing the bomb threatening. So why would you blatantly? There's no excuse for that. There's no incompetence. There's no oops, it was a spelling error. It's a blatant lie to project a certain narrative, to create or reinforce a certain narrative. And I think that is America's biggest, if you want to say enemy to the people, is definitely the media. And it's not just in America, because if any of you guys have access to NHK, which is Nippon, anyway, Japanese news, It's English. It's in English, so you have to learn another language. But the format is the same. They present political information the exact same way they present it here, with a negative stint toward conservative values. And this is in a Eastern country on the other side of the planet with doing the exact same thing. So you can see how it's all global, and Trump is the only person, maybe Vivek, who recognizes this and wants to take us, the American people, out of it. Because if he doesn't, we're not, in my opinion, I'll live long enough for us not to have a United States of America. We have some United Socialist States of the world or something. We are the world.
I said,
national anthem. That'd be our national anthem.
Speaking of Section 230, I remember when this whole subject matter was brought up when Trump was in office, an attack he received on having all his accounts basically taken offline. And so here's this article that came to mind as you guys were talking about the Section 230. And so it looks like there's bipartisan agreement on the fact that controlling AI companies is something that they should do as far as proposing a bill to eliminate Section 230 to protect AI companies. So they'll come together to protect AI from manipulating people and stuff like that. But then again, when it was on Trump and when his accounts got stolen, they weren't so cool about this Section 230. So ain't that interesting how it's a turn of the tide a little bit?
Yeah, and I agree when Andre says that the media is the enemy of the people. And that's going to be again, like, I'm not trying to be like this Trump fan club thing, but if we're just talking about the facts, like, one of the lasting legacies Trump will have, and I always say this, is that he brought to light the corruption and just the illusion so many people were living in, that somehow the media was fair and balanced. Wherein, if you really think about it, read old articles, there were Nazi sympathizers in the New York Times. They defended the Holodomor, pretended it didn't happen. This isn't new. The New York Times, the Washington Post, and the mainstream legacy media have been lying and covering up for progressive and communist agendas for decades and decades. Donald Trump woke up a lot of people to just how much lies were being told. And I think a lot of people right now who are in this space that can look at media and be like, this is complete garbage and this is complete phony narrative, that's because of Donald Trump, whether they realize it or not. They would never have thought twice to question what they were being fed. And then as far as that AI thing goes, I don't remember. Was listening to this interview. I can't remember who it was with, but this guy made this great point. This AI thing is an arms race, right? Like, all these companies, it needs to be done, but it's bankrupting them. Nvidia, like, their price to earnings, or their share price to earnings is so far out of whack. They would need something like 100% of the GPU market, and then they would need to grow by like 10% every year for the next 10 years to come even close to making that a reality, like making it a functional price to earnings. Okay, Google's bankrupting themselves. ChatGPT is losing money hand over fist. But it's like these companies are being forced to do it because if they're not the first, they're gone. They're going to be wiped out. And the only reason that these senators, again, bipartisan, want to come together to protect AI is not for us. It's so that they can use AI, so they can keep AI going. They can bankroll whatever company is going to be the one that comes up with the AI, and damn be all the people who are using open source and decentralized AI systems, which you can do. NVIDIA has plenty of programs you can use. The Raspberry Pi Foundation is doing stuff. All kinds of these smaller AI projects that you and a couple of friends can get together and do are available. But the big companies don't want that. But the big companies also don't want to have to keep pouring all this money in, because they're going to go bankrupt. So I think that's a lot of the reason why you had that letter from Elon Musk and all those guys saying, oh, we got to stop AI development. It was stop everybody else while we keep doing it in the background. We don't have to burn so much money to stay relevant. I just wanted to bring that up because I was thinking
assuming
about
a regulation, our government is going to pass some type of regulation to curtail those developments, however, if they can, just because it'll happen. If it don't happen here, it'll happen in some village in Africa somewhere. They're gonna come up with some type of algorithm to do something. And so, like, can AI eventually turn into like literally like a beast that's uncontrollable, to where, if it self learns and all that stuff like that, it becomes bigger than, because it's basically connected to the internet in real time, so it can basically black us all out or create some type of false narrative that disrupts the world. So will it be a problem? Will it be used more for evil than good?
Well, I always say technology is benign. It's not evil. It's not good. But we're already past the state whether AI or natural language software can affect the real world. There was an article or a story a couple of weeks back where, and I think it was ChatGPT, was assigned a task that it physically couldn't do. But what it did was it hired somebody on TaskRabbit to do it for them. So this is a ChatGPT bot getting a human being to do his bidding in 2023. Like 2026, like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, and they just created an artificial human embryo, so to speak.
Yeah.
That was in the news today.
Really?
So, yeah, you can look that up. We're living in, things are going so fast. It's mind blowing. Like, things are just happening. Like, things that are fundamentally changing or will fundamentally change X is happening almost daily. It's like you can't keep up with this stuff.
Yeah, it feels like we're hurtling towards an abyss. I don't think technology in and of itself can be evil or good, like you were saying, Andre. It's a tool, but that's also the thing. Like, AI, okay, it's the first time that technology can go out and create on its own. So at what point and when will it be argued that it's sentient? And not to get all biblical and all that, but like in Revelations, it says that the end times will be like in the days of Noah. And in the days of Noah, there were a bunch of freaking weird half-breed monsters running about, and God had to flood the earth. So it seems to me like we're getting to that point where it's like the line between man and machine are being blurred. The transhumanist movement, AI, the synthetic embryos, the chimeras that they're doing, like the viruses, all of this stuff is just, it's accelerating at an accelerating rate. And I think it's already a runaway train. And at this point, I do think it's evil. It's absolutely evil. And the people who choose to use it to control people can only have evil intent. Like, I don't think, because you got to look at like Yuval Noah Harari at the World Economic Forum. He's a big transhumanist. Even Elon Musk. These people have said God does not exist because we have not created him yet. That's a red flag. That's a real red flag when these are the main people that are involved in this space that think they're going to create some sort of God. So my question to myself and anybody who wants to ponder this is, what is going to happen first? Is AI going to be declared sentient, or are the aliens going to be declared to have arrived? Because those are the two verticals we're working in right now. We have all this alien disclosure bullcrap going on. We have all this AI bullcrap going on. It's a race to see at what point can we get humanity to coalesce around one of these ideas and enslave all of us, because that's the end result. There's no way around that. AI or aliens, it's enslavement.
So here's that Urari interview that you're referring to, where he mentioned that he foresees AI eventually creating the ultimate form of religion, and then it says here writing a new Bible that encompasses all religions and makes it and it will make sense for humanity. Like it'll actually make sense. They're basically trying to discredit all the other religions, and so I'm like, yeah. So is he predicting this, or is he already in on what they're trying to accomplish with the CERN program and the dark matter and all that stuff like that? Will they end up putting AI using the dark forces at B with AI inside of a robotic type of skin, synthetically made, that will be plugged into the internet in real time, able to do signs and wonders through illusion with the Blue Beam Project in space, and like creating the ultimate antichrist type of figure, but it's man-made, or not man-made, but man helps push it along the way. You know what I'm saying? So this is the scary stuff that spooks it out of me a little bit. But
Well,
biblically speaking, it's
this is
told.
where you get the Unabomber Part 2, right? But if anybody was silly enough to read, like myself, read that manifesto, it's amazing how much sense that crazy man made. I mean, everything made sense up until the part where he said, well, I need to go kill these people. Like, everything, like, it's literally, you reading, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. He talking about, like, political and social stuff. It was stuff about Black Americans in there.
Transgenderism.
And how, everything seemed to make sense until that sentence, all right, got to kill people. And what didn't make sense after that sentence, so it's two things, really. Well, two blaring things that didn't make sense. Was, okay, we stopped technology. That was his goal. We need to stop technology. But he admits that after you stop technology, it's going to creep back up, and in about 200 years, you have to do it again. So what's the point? What's the point of going around killing people?
How would you stop technology anyway? To turn the lights out? Like, what the hell? Huh?
It's like, what's the point of doing all this stuff? So this leads me back to Revelations. I'm not a religious guy, but I've read the Bible a billion times. And I grew up in the church. But what you said about Revelations, right? And how you link that back to Noah and those times, and you had that flood, but now the next flood will be fire and brimstone. You can kind of tie that in with technology. Back with Noah's day, there may have been a different type of technology that got humans to the point where God was like, hey, we need to start this over. And then now we have a different form of technology where we're basically about to create ourselves, a better form of ourselves. I don't think these people are trying to create God. I think these people are trying to become God with servants under them. Servants being pure human servants because that are irrelevant. Like there's no need for them. They can't do labor any better. All artificial beings will be able to do anything a human could do 100 times better. So human beings will be irrelevant, and you'll be able to control them with, money. And then the artificial intelligence, you'll just be able to control them through programming. And I heard something very interesting today. If you can create humans without a woman,
watch out.
Oh man, they're already taking over track and field with dudes.
So what I've noticed,
bikinis, taking over those spaces. If there's no need for a human to carry a baby,
and that's what they're working towards, man. Like I've seen so much of that crazy stuff where it makes. What I've gathered is a majority of these people who are coming up with this technology, they're wanting to live forever. They don't want to die, as if they're afraid of death. Like, and a good portion of these people funding these things, they have the means and resources to do so. And so they're actually trying to put all their resources to try to cheat death in a sense. And they actually got people out here thinking that they're going to find some type of something in your DNA that's going to, they can turn on and turn off that would allow you to live longer, cure disease and stuff like that. It's like, even with that, like, that's a form of playing God in and of itself. It's spooky. And I think before it's actually accomplished, before they actually get to that point where they can do it, that's when we'll have an awakening moment where the Lord will hopefully return so that, they're not able to get dumped that type of crazy stuff.
Yeah, there was an article written years ago about this subject. Scientists have figured out exactly why the human body dies. Meaning, if bearing diseases, car accidents, you're totally healthy. At some point, you die. Why? Like, if you don't have diabetes, cancer, whatever, like you're just 110 years old, otherwise healthy, and then you just stop living. Why is that? And they figured out the why. So it's just a process of re-engineering. And the main reason, if not the reason, was the dehydration of your cells. So if they can keep your cells hydrated, there's no necessity for you to die. I'm paraphrasing, heady stuff, but that was what I took away from it.
Interesting. What were you saying, Tom?
My thing is, yeah, it's definitely they're aiming for life extension. Again, going back to this same group of transhumanists, it's either live forever or upload your consciousness into cyberspace and live forever that way. What's that movie where like when like your body dies, they put the chip in the back of the head, Elysium or whatever. But yeah, and I think that's kind of what they're going is like these human skin suits where they can transfer consciousness back and forth between them. And that is completely psychotic and insane. And I don't want any part of that personally. And there was something else that I was going to bring up with this that I can't remember now. Live forever. I lost it. I lost it.
This is far left field, but like the ability, their attempt to try to transfer the human soul or consciousness to another form or whatever. There's so many things out here, but there's some things that I'm trying to bring it up on the screen here, but there's something about, let me grab it here. It's something about like a lot of the, let me grab it, man. So here's something here that came to mind.
Oh, real quick while you're getting that, I remember what I was going to say. It's also very strange that we're living right now basically under the rule of these people. Like, okay, so we got Soros, Schwab, Nancy, like all these octogenarians, these 80-year-olds, okay, like these megalomaniacs. They're all from the World War II era. Klaus Schwab and George Soros were involved in that whole little kerfuffle. We have Operation Paperclip. The Yahtzees were very involved in this weird, like, occult bullcrap. I wonder how much of what we're living through right now is the direct result of Operation Paperclip, the influence that brought to America, the people that are here now running everything, still in charge, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, all of these people are so freaking old and they're so tied into this system. It seems like it's like these people never get sick. They never die. They live forever. And I wonder how much of what we're going through right now is directly related to that Yahtzee World War II link to now.
Definitely they're coming from the same club with the same school of thought. And so, like, you look at those institutions like the Skull and Bones and all those, the Masons and all those organizations that they have a playbook that they're working according to. So if you do what you're told, you'll be rewarded in this life, riches and everything in between. But, if you sell your soul, we know the ultimate ending for people who do such. But here's a picture that was amongst many that circulate. And of course, it's all just as far left field, conspiratorial type of stuff, whatever. But something about the eye and how I've seen people talk about how they're able to somehow, some way through your eye portals, do some things where they take your memories, put it into a different type of corpse by. I mean, I'll leave it at that, but this is some spooky stuff that I be into sometimes to just make you think, because I know what their agenda is. It's Satan himself trying to orchestrate and create his own foot stooges. So anyway, man, but that's just something that I'll be going down rabbit holes sometimes with. It's entertaining, man, because it's pure evil. What else? We miss anything about the hour point, man? I know you guys got things to do. But no, we went everywhere today. So I just enjoyed being able to, just ramble, whatever comes to mind, we go there, man. So it's always good to do this during the hangout. So what else you guys keep an eye on? Anything coming up worthwhile mentioning that we'll probably jump on next week if we can?
Same old, man. Just watching the country fall apart. I'm trying to develop this theory that just like when Caesar was assassinated and that was the end of the Roman Republic and then they went to the empire, we are at the same exact point. Biden is the first emperor of this country. And I think time will prove that to be true.
Hey, before we go, for the first time, I've been meaning to watch this movie ever since it came out. V for Vendetta.
Oh, it's great.
V for Vendetta. Oh my God. I was like, this is Joe Biden. If you haven't seen it, or if you've seen it before, you gotta go watch that movie, man. It's a must. You gotta go watch it. That's my advice for this week. far as what's on the radar, listen for anyone when it comes to technology and moving forward, right? Listen to hear anyone connect individual rights and liberties with technology or any political policy, because you never hear it. And I think that when you do hear it, that's the candidate you're looking to follow, or that's the person molding that technology. That's someone you would want to support. Because every time you hear technology, it's all about community. This would be great for the community. It's never about the individual. And we are a constitutional republic that, first and foremost, we stand on individual rights and freedom. And there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, especially on my part, but getting away for a while was really great. So I decided to do something positive, at least for myself. I want to share it with the family here. If anyone has an Instagram account, I just set up a new one, and it's called Liquid Frequencies. I love beverages, and I love audio. So I'm putting them together, and I'll just share like today's beverage or today's song on there, instead of it always being about, you know, this politician ain't shit or this policy is screwing us over. Hey, man, just stop by and say, that looks like a nice cup of coffee, or that's a nice bourbon you got going on there, or I love those speakers, or I love that song. You know, something to brighten up your day, maybe.
Now, Archer, I'm looking for Liquid Frequency, and somebody else pops up. Frequencies, okay.
Liquid Frequencies.
Right, okay, I see you. Bet. Okay, let me see. I got you right here. This you?
That's me. Simple stuff.
Liquid Frequencies. Good deal.
Yep.
So you got your beverages here. You play? Oh, no, that ain't you.
That's Najee. I went to see him in concert. I own the saxophone, though. Another story, interesting story. In London, sorry to make this all about me, guys.
It's all good,
London,
man.
I'm at a bar, and I had this guy comes in with a saxophone case, and he sits next to us, and we just talking. And man, I can't remember his name right now, but he's a famous saxophone player, jazz saxophone player, young guy. But he's in that range of, like, he's in that realm of the Kenny G type of jazz and whatnot. So we got to talking, and I said, I saw Najee, and he really inspired me as a kid to learn how to play the soprano sax, which I never did, but I managed to go out and buy a soprano sax that I still own. He laughed about that, and I was like, yeah, when I was in Japan, I got it, man. That thing is 52 years old. And he said, dude, I'll buy it from you. Vacation. I'm on vacation. I don't have it with me, right? So he's coming to San Francisco to play.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Someone's listening to your conversation.
Freaking AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, he told me to bring the saxophone to the concert. You go play it at the concert. I was like, oh man, that's crazy. So needless to say, I had a good 2-week vacation.
That's good, man. Well, yeah. So we continue plugging away, man. Lots of things will be thrown our way. Try to stay sane. Be grateful for what you got, and just enjoy the moment, man. Like, we're living in the greatest point in human history, I think, and so things are going to unfold one way or the other. How we frame our mind around the things that take place around us will determine a lot as to how we're able to get through all these concerning times. So, yeah, man, I'm in the word more than I ever have been, just because I need to build my faith up, man, because I think we're gonna need it. We're gonna need it for sure. What else? Other than that, man, it was great as always connecting with you guys, man. What'd you say?
I say you definitely should not be bored.
Yeah, exactly. It's more than enough stuff out here to be a part of. So, all right, gentlemen, you guys hang on. For you guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out. We got the Coming Conflict in the middle and the Broke Capitalist. Links in the description. Go check out those guys. And then also, I think Mr. Dre is going to be joining us as well on the channel to help produce some content and share his thoughts on the culture. That's definitely going to be something I'm looking forward to find out more about. So, other than that, people, be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later. Shalom.